All right, do you see any consistency from your defense yet?
I mean, that's hard to say, honestly. Like it's not trying to be overly critical or this or that. I mean, consistency. We're only in practice 8. I mean, we've had some from period to period. We've had some where we've had a couple of days. But consistency is a week to week in and week out thing. And so I'm not going to say that they've been a consistent group yet. Um, I'm sorry, Tony. I was looking for. I just thought you were. I, so Tony was busy running with the team after he's trying to get conditioned. He just felt a little out of shape in summer, so he's trying to get himself. I appreciate that, Tony.
More so than consistent continuity, because that's so important when you're bringing in these
all the new guys. Yeah, we're really stressing it hard, trying to get them to work with each other, not just on the field but off the field. I saw a thing this morning. The Tennessee Titans had brought in Jelly Roll, and he was talking about um, how they really form that bond on the road. And so, I showed that to the guys just because, hey, man, it can't just be you build that consistency for an hour or two on the football field or an hour in the locker room. It's got to be all the time. And so we've been pushing that because there has been a fair amount of turnover. I think the guys enjoy being around each other. They're getting there, but the reality is that they're going to have to learn from older teams that we've had here. When we watch film and it's of the 21 team or the 18 team and guys that grew up in the system, they've got to learn. They're going to have to get their scars and their scabs from guys that grew up in the system, and because if we take those lumps, we're probably taking them on Saturdays, and we don't have time to scar in, and fix it like that. Those things are going to cost us. So they have to kind of learn a different way.
When you talk about the consistency, that can be extremely generic. Is there one area of that though where you're having to repeat yourself or you're seeing mistakes being made?
No, I think it's different things. Honestly, like I think sometimes it's, hey, you're trying to get consistency of effort and energy. Sometimes it's, hey, we're putting in a lot of things. You're going to get mistakes, but you don't want to see the same mistake twice. And it may be a player or two that's making the same. If we made a correction the night before, I don't want to see it the next day. If you're a habitual mistake maker, that's an issue. Like that leads and deteriorates in trust. And so the guys know that there's a high standard. Nobody's above it. And so we'll just keep pushing.
When you talk about guys getting their scars through the system, would you point to Ty Bryant as an example of somebody who's been here through the system and kind of found his leadership?
Absolutely. I made a specific point. There's probably about 5 guys in that room right now that have been in the defense for 3 or more years. We're in 3 or more years in terms of getting good quality game reps, so they understand the speed, they understand the issues. They've been in part of really good wins, and they've been a part of really tough losses, and so uh, those guys are going to be vital. For in Ty just today in practice, like you heard him, you felt him. In terms of there was it wasn't a miscommunication. It was just a soft communication between guys. Well, you can't be soft. It's got to be loud. It's got to be demonstrative. And he was very firm, both on the field and then when we came to the sideline, we're like, hey, listen, guys, this is what's got to occur. And so that's what you need from a leader.
Brad, where did you see DJ Waller grow the most last year?
Maturity. Like I think there's just a maturity to everything he's doing right now in terms of how he handles his business both in the building and outside. And so much. I mean, we go back to that same the Jelly Roll. He talked about how when he was a better father and a better human, he became a better songwriter and performer. It's the same thing in every profession. You tend to find that when you mature in all areas of your life, like there's carryover. It's like the Olympic rings, and it's a Venn diagram. Like they all bleed in. And I mean, I can't live wrong off the field and expect to be that guy on the field, and then vice versa. So um, I've just been proud of his growth, since the moment he stepped on to where he is here. I mean, from a maturity standpoint, and then I think physically, like he's in a much better shape, for him.
Brandon, has Alex been already been kind of like Ty on the back end to the inside linebackers, and
Yeah.
what have you seen from that group?
Both Alex and Davron, have been really good, and um, they feed off each other, and they really. I've been pleasantly surprised. Not surprised is the wrong word, but what is the better word? I've just been, pleased. I guess would be. I'm pleased with that group in general. Like they work together really well. Not just Alex and Davron, which they do. They work in unison. They're really one heartbeat. They've started to understand how to move as one and how to communicate. But even the guys behind them, when you're talking with like a Grant Gottfried or a Landon Watson, um, Antoine Smith, those guys, and they've really gravitated to the leadership of Alex, and you can hear Alex out there more. You feel his presence. He's put on weight on the off season, and he's moving around. That progression from being a field overhang now being a big rugged inside backer, and you feel that difference from him.
Brad, you have the coaching continuity, obviously, but you added Nate Sway and Brad Lambert. For you as a coordinator, does that kind of allow you, maybe free you up more to kind of go just oversee the whole operation more, maybe in the past?
100% to bring in two coaches of that magnitude, to be able to even sort of cut up the positions even more, and so those guys get individual coaching from coaches that have been one in this system and then two in the profession for as long as they have. uh, it's invaluable, and it's great for me. You mentioned it. I can bop around a little bit in terms of it's just not just the outside linebackers. Now I can bounce to the D line, the inside backers, the back end, and have some influence, in terms of just them knowing that, look, coaches all around. It's not just I hear his voice in the unit meeting room or on the practice field. Man, he's in there in Indy, and I've got to do my part in terms of we've got really really good coaches on defense, and so I'm going to let them coach their guys. I'll never do anything to overstep that. From an individual coaching progression. But if there's points that need to be made or emphasized or highlighted, I'll make sure those are done.
What did you like specifically about Sam Green, what he did at USC, and then how has he kind of fit into what you're asking him specifically here?
First and foremost with Sam, I've recruited St. Francis High School, being here, and how they just talked about him, and so I knew what kind of person he was. Uh, he wasn't a guy specifically that we recruited real heavy because positionally he was kind of a D lineman coming out of high school. So it just wasn't necessarily a position fit. Well, he lost weight, moved to the edge, and but he brings that tough, rugged physicality. A guy that I had who's very similar mentality wise in Indianapolis, Eric Walton. He reminds me a lot of that. He's sort of a tone setter with that physicality and that strength. He's strong as an ox, but he's an unbelievable teammate, worker, like a guy that just he walks in, he's got an infectious smile, and you want to say like he never has a bad day, in terms of, like, and he might, but he's not going to bring that negativity, that aura into the building. Like he'll swallow it and make sure when he walks in the building, everybody can feed off him. And those are special young men.
Moving back to the corners, a lot of times you see maybe a bigger guy, maybe a shorter guy, a little bit more speed. So what are the pros and cons of having two tall, long guys like DJ and JQ out there?
Yeah, obviously when you have length on the outside edge, it covers up windows. It's hard for a QB, even if maybe you got beat on the line of scrimmage and you're in trail. One, you're looking at a 6'3" man, and then I know if his arm goes up, how much taller that is. Like you lose track of receivers as the further it goes down the field. So balls have to be perfect. So yeah, there's give and take. Obviously, if you're 5'9" or 5'10", a lot of times you can be a little bit quicker. in and out of breaks transitionally. It takes a little bit longer at times when you're longer legged, but they also gobble a lot of ground once they come out. So the big thing is when you're taller, you have to remain focused on knee bend. You tend to, if you get tired, you raise up and you get tall, and then it's really slow at the transition. You got to really focus on staying low throughout the down. Really focus on technique, but when it comes to ball disruption and the ball's about to hit the receiver's hand, they've got that extra length to get it off them. That extra length where a QB thinks he can thread it, and all of a sudden, instead of being a completion, it's an interception.
Hey, last one is Jeff here.
Wow,
Similar
we went
to
from
your
last one to two more.
I know. Bonus question. I'm being kind of generous. Well, I missed the
Make it
first
good.
two running up here.
similar to John's question with Green. What were some of the things you saw with Landon Watson in the portal, and how has he adjusted to this transition?
Yeah, similar. Like he was, you watch him, and coming from Marshall, like that's really good competition. I really think that league, that conference, has a lot of really talented players, and then they got to play a team like Ohio State last year in Ohio State. So when you turn on the tape, you got to see him making plays against high-level competition, and he was big and he was strong. And for as big as he is, and some would say, "Oh man, he's like a thumper." He's light on his feet. He can make guys miss. In pass rush, he's got a natural wiggle to him. He's really bright. He's conscientious. He cares. So really excited to see him sort of continue to build in this defense. And every day he just gets more comfortable and confident. I thought today might have been one of his, if not the best sort of practice. I thought he was really dialed in today with an understanding of, hey, what we're trying to get done in what situation, where I'm supposed to fit. And like anybody else, right, it's about reps. And he only got limited reps in spring just because of, coming off the surgery. And so, yeah, excited about, sort of where his ceiling's going to be.
Hey, tough folks. Thank you.
Thank you.